Bom dia, boa tarde, boa noite, or whatever the case may be. My name is Marcus, and I am the host of the Black Brazil Today YouTube channel, as well as the Black Brazil Today blog, where I analyze Brazil from the perspective of race. So today I want to talk about a video that I came across last week. Apparently, there is a documentary that's either being recorded or has already been released about the ongoing top-rated reality show called Big Brother Brasil. I think it's just started. I think it may be season 26, maybe? I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. I've never been a person who sits in, I haven't had an interest in reality shows in probably 15 or 20 years, but I do like just following the news that comes out of Big Brother Brasil because it's like a microcosm of what's going on in Brazil for whatever, subject that you're looking for. I always like to connect with things that go on with the Black population. What are people talking about? How are things being seen? What is the environment in terms of race relations in Brazil? How are Black people seeing themselves? What is the position of Black people? This has been what I like to follow in Brazil. So when I talk about Big Brother Brazil, as I've said in the past, I don't talk about it in the sense of I love reality shows. I talk about it because this is just a small screen. It's a small piece. If you're just looking for racial dynamics, you get a lot of stuff out of Big Brother Brazil. There's been just incident after incident in the 20-some seasons that this reality show has been on TV. It's like a gold mine for somebody like me. People, Brazilians go on TV and just they're being who they are. And it's a lot of material for me to cover. I mean, I say this a lot, but if I wanted to just cover Big Brother Brazil in terms of just race, I could do a whole video channel on that because this is enough content on there that I could support a whole YouTube channel or blog. So today, I want to talk about a video by this guy. At the time, when I looked at him, I didn't know who he was. What it is that he was a past participant on Big Brother Brazil. I think it was from either 2007 or 2008. And when I looked at him, I didn't know it was the same guy. I just realized that the guy now is talking about his participation when he was on Big Brother Brazil like 17, 18 years ago. So this is a guy who participated in a Big Brother Brazil documentary, just talking about, I guess, the series. I haven't seen the documentary. I've learned about it because some people have done interviews about this documentary or for this documentary on the reality show. There are a couple of really popular reality shows in Brazil, like Big Brother Brazil is the biggest one, but then you have one called A Fazenda. So I listened to what he said and I'm like, wow, I definitely have to cover this because this is a topic that is really starting to be a point of contention in Brazil because you have people who interpret it one way and people who interpret it another way. And I have a couple of experiences with this that I wanted to share. So first, let me talk about the video. Before I do that, definitely subscribe to the channel, like this video, share this video, click on the notification bell. So let's get into it. What Felip Basilio had to say. The name of the videos today is Don't Call Me Negão or Black Guy, or some people would say it can be interpreted as the N-word. I have a name. Felip Basilio remembers being one of the few Blacks on a reality show. So let's go ahead and get into it. What did he have to say about this and what does it mean? So this is Felip Basilio. I think his last name is actually Oliveira. First, I want to just go directly into the video and talk about what he had to say. So right now, I'm going to just do an overdub of what he had to say about this topic. He says, I had an identity. I have an identity. So on all the editions of Big Brother Brazil, whenever there was a Black guy, he said this was the negão on Big Brother 1, Big Brother Brazil 1, season 1. This is the negão of Big Brother Brazil second season, negão of Big Brother Brazil 3. So what he's saying is that every time there's a Black guy in the first years of Big Brother Brazil, you didn't have a whole lot of Black Brazilians. And that was a criticism of the show. Like, where are the Black people on this show? So anyway, let me check out or share with you what Felip had to say, and then I'm going to come back. I said on the show that I wouldn't like to be called a negão because I have an identity. And until then, all the additions were the negão for Big Brother 1, the negão for Big Brother 2, the negão for Big Brother 3, negão. I'm sorry because I couldn't take the fans' indifference. The white people who were there were already used to it. That for her, there was only one, so he's a negão. That's it. It's over. But you say you didn't like being called negão. Why don't you say that? I've already said that. I made it clear in the first week, but as I said, I don't mind because fortunately or unfortunately, I was treated like that before I entered the house, the only black person in the house. It may not make a difference to you, but it does. I've been isolated here for 50 days, Bruno. Do you feel discriminated against? No, I don't feel discriminated against, but I do feel isolated. As much as you discriminate against me, we feel isolated. You can say it's not, but that's normal given the situation. Look at me. No, it's not. Look at me, negão. Don't trip. Okay, so that was a brief clip of an interaction between Felip when he was younger on Big Brother Brasil 2007, 2008, and one of the other participants, the white guy named Bruno. And he's explaining to him, like, look, I don't like when you call me negão. It's people have kind of gotten accustomed to that. And Felip now, this is Felip now. That was him in the video that when he was younger on, so was looking 17, 18 years ago on Big Brother Brasil. And this is what he's explaining. And he said, if you look back at all of the first editions of Big Brother Brasil, every time there was a black guy on there, they referred to him as a negão. Okay. Now, let me just talk about Felip for a minute. Today, he holds a degree in foreign trade from Mackenzie University and has specializations in politics and international relations and human rights from the University of Sao Paulo. So Felip Basilio Oliveira has gone to some very prestigious colleges. He's also the creator of the Pode Pai project, which means you can father, where he connects fatherhood and career by analyzing popular films and animations. But this is the point that I'm making here. In the first editions of Big Brother Brasil, you just didn't have many black people. And this was one of the main complaints of the black population. They were watching the show every season that came out, but it's like, where are the black people? And this is what I've said over the years. Black people in Brazil have been demanding their piece of the pie and their place in the sun. Like, why are we always excluded? And when you do have a black person there, the negão or the neguinha, these are diminutives of the word negro, right? Formerly, people didn't take offense with the word. It was almost used as a term of affection. But nowadays, a lot of people are taking offense by being labeled as negão or neguinho. Okay. So right now, let me put this a little bit more into context for those of us who, if you've never been to Brazil, you may not be aware of how these terms work. But again, this is talking about the early years of the Big Brother Brasil reality show. A report said that on Big Brother Brasil, as well as A Fazenda, which I believe is on the Record television channel, Big Brother Brasil is on the Global Network, Black Brazilians made up only 14% of the cast up until that year of 2020. 14%. Now, generally, there's two ways to look at that. Some people look at the black population in Brazil as being 56%, which is a mix of black and brown. And other people say specifically black people are only 10%. As I've said, I tend to look at the black population in Brazil being somewhere between, I don't know, maybe about 35 to 40%, maybe. But the point is, however you look at it, blacks on the Big Brother Brasil reality show, as in other areas of Brazilian society, are extremely underrepresented. So that's what the argument was in the beginning. As the years went on, more and more people started participating, and more black Brazilians, clearly black Brazilians, were participating in Big Brother Brasil. As I've said, me being interested in the race concept in Brazil, there's been a lot of material to talk about. I've talked about the promotion, and you're going to see that in a couple of the links that I have from blackbraziltoday.com. When as years went on, I remember it was like maybe 3-4 seasons ago, they were promoting the next season of Big Brother Brasil as this is the biggest cast of black Brazilians ever in the history of Big Brother Brasil. But it took how many years to get there, right? So then I have to get into, what is this term negão? And why is it that Felip Basilio Oliveira felt the need to even talk about this? He discussed this on the program because he didn't like being referred to as negão. Like, I have a name and I have an identity. Why do you refer to me as a negão? Now, what does negão mean? It depends. In the black community in the United States, we often use the N-word. Well, however you feel about it, we know that hip hop has popularized the word. People have used it for decades, if not centuries. But then you have black people, black Americans have taken the word, and instead of using a hard ER at the end of the word, we use an A, and we consider it racist. Whether a white person uses with the A or the hard ER, we still consider it racist, as we say, white people are not supposed to use that term. I always had a problem with that argument because it's like, that a lot of our music is bought by non-black black people. So if we don't want people using the word, why do we use this word in the music? This is just a question that I have. You know that if somebody hears the word, if white people are riding around in their car and they're listening to some rap record, something hip hop, and they memorize all the lyrics, do you really think inside the car they're not going to say that word when the rapper citing the lyrics says it? Anyway, that's a whole nother discussion. Let me talk a little bit more about what was going on here. Felip Basilio remembers being the only black person in the house of confinement. Big Brother Brasil, people live in this house and they're confined for, a couple of months until one of them wins that particular edition. So he was the only black person in the house of confinement on the 8th season of the popular Big Brother Brasil reality show. As such, he was consistently called negão throughout his appearance in the program, something that didn't sit well with him as he complained about this term to others that shared the space on the show. He says, at the first dinner we had with all the participants around the table, somebody said, the negão. I said, no, guys, I don't like being called negão. I prefer to be called by my name. Was I respected? No, says Felip. Think about that for a minute. He actually told people I don't like being called that. They called him that anyway. During the making of the Big Brother Brasil documentary, Felip noted that during every edition of the program that had only one black man in what has been called the most watched house in all of Brazil, all of those black men were also tagged with the term negão. Speaking out, Basilio made it clear that he didn't like being referred to with the term because he had an identity. The white people who were there were already used to it because for them, I was the only one. So I was negão. That was it, Felip said. So as he went on, he says, now every time there's a black guy on here, instead of referring to him by his name as a full person, he's like almost like a pet. He's almost like, how can we say? He's something special in the house. He's the different one. So instead of calling him by the name, they call him negão. Now, in my own experience with this, and this again, how do we translate the term negão? Like I said, among black Americans, we'll use the term, the N word with the A-N, the A ending rather. Like, okay, we just use it amongst our friends. It's a term of endearment. But depending on a person's tone, it can also be an insult. And I'm sure you know how we do our vocal inflections. That can either be a term of endearment or an insult. All right. But at the same time, this word in Brazil, negão, is in a transition because for years, people have used the word as a term of endearment, whether they're black or white. But it's emerging now that a lot of black people don't want people to be using that term in reference to them. Don't call me negão. I have a name. I remember years ago, first time I had ever been in an interracial relationship. The girl it was a white girl. And I remember that there was a guy who she grew up with. They were really good friends. And he always wanted to be more than just friends with her. So then when I came along, it was just straight hate. It's like, dang, I've been trying to get with you. And now you're going to get with your big NIG. So he didn't refer to me by my name. He would always call me the BIGNIG. And she would tell me this every day. I would laugh like, okay, like whatever. He's not going to say that to my face, but coming through her, this is what he calls you. He doesn't call you Mark. He calls you BIGNIG. Okay. So this is something that I kind of can relate to. Okay. So, but then you have these differences and these similarities. What makes the situation a racist insult versus a term of endearment? And it's going to depend on the social situation. All I would say is that people have to recognize when there's a changing tide. Just like years ago, you go back 60, 70 years, many black people in the United States didn't want to be called black. They wanted to be called Negro. Now here it is years later. Negro? No, I'm black. Some people reject African American. Now you have people talking about foundational black Americans. What is the term that we're using? Because we have to respect how the group as a whole looks at the term. And if the term negão was a term of endearment for a while, but the group that is being used for rejects it suddenly, then it's no longer fashionable to call somebody by that term. And it seems that's where Brazil is going, even though using the term negão for a black man seems to be still pretty popular in Brazil. So anyway, at the center of this discussion today is the ever popular Big Brother Brasil reality show. As I said, a new season just started. So I think it's season 25, if I'm not mistaken. There's already been a racial incident that's happened on there. I'm hoping to get to that either tomorrow or the next day. Definitely have to talk about that. As I said, Big Brother Brazil is just, it's a gold mine for somebody who's into social issues. Okay. So discussion. Um, Let me start here. A linguista. Okay, so here we have an article that is explaining the use of the terms negão and neguinho and why it's now considered racism. Um, so the person who's analyzing this word, he says, or she says, to say neguinho or negão in an isolated form is not racism, but it can be depending on the historical and situational context in that the word in which the word appears. Whoever is saying the word, which are the social relations of the persons involved in the dialogue and the intention of the phrase, and that's going to tell you if it's a term of affection or it's a term of conflict. So you can just as easily use the term. Neguinho is a diminutive of the word negro, meaning small. This is a small little black guy. Negão is like the big black guy or straight up black man, something like that. So it can be used that way. Is it affectionate or a term of conflict or insult? Same with neguinho. Same with negrinha, neguinho. All of these type of words that are at its root has the word negro or negro. So number one, it's going to depend on the situation. Number two is a rising tide of Black Brazilians who are rejecting being called this term, particularly by white Brazilians. As I've said, a Big Brother Brazil has been a gold mine for people who are into whatever area you like about Brazil. There's going to be something on Big Brother Brazil that comes up that teaches you a little something about Brazil. These are just some of the articles that I've done over the years. As I said, in season 2021 or the 21st season, Brazil's most popular reality show, Big Brother Brazil, will have its largest number of Black participants in its history. I think like half of the cast on that particular season was Black, right? So that was really a big deal at the time. There were calls for years to see a Black man win on this reality show. A couple of Black women had already won. Now, that comes into another discussion. It has, I think 2 seasons ago, a clearly Black man won on Big Brother Brazil. And some people say he was the first Black man to win. Others say there was a guy with a more brown mixed look from several years ago, and some people consider him to be the first Black man. So even then, you have a question of how racial dynamics work out in Brazil. What else do we have here? Let me keep going. Okay, so Big Brother Brazil has presented a lack of racial diversity. It said there's only been 4 Black people who won on Big Brother Brazil in the first 23 seasons. Jean Willis, who I will talk about in a minute, Mara Viana, Gleice Damasceno, and Thelma Assis. It says here, Jean Louis was the only Black man to win the program, but we now know that David Brito, I think his name was Brito, he won 2 seasons ago. He was more of a clearly looking Black man versus Jean Louis, who had more of a mixed look. The 23rd season had 50% of Black participants, which is what they say is near the Black representation in overall Brazilian population. Just a few facts about Brazil. So Jean Willis and Davi Brito were both winners on Big Brother Brazil, and they're both Black. It says Jean was the first Black man to win the program, while David was the third from the state of Bahia to win. Okay. So this is Davi Brito here, and this is Jean Willis here, Jean Willis here, Jean Willis here, and Davi here. So it's a question. Okay, should we consider Davi the first Black man, or should we consider Jean Willis the first Black man to win on Big Brother Brazil? I don't have a definitive answer on that. It's not for me to decide, actually. But the image connected with the so-called negão. There were some comments made by this actor back in 2023, and it perpetuates the sexual violent image of the negão, or what we could say a straight up Black man or the big Black man. This is singer Leo Santana. This is a guy that somebody could consider a negão or the big Black man. According to, let me see, Rodriguez. This book was about the stereotypes of Black people in Brazilian cinema. And João Carlos Rodriguez, he identified 13 recurring stereotypes of Black characters in the history of Brazilian film. The negão is an archetype based on the perverted, insatiable sexual appetite attributed to Black men. Where have we heard this? So we know there's a stereotype in the U.S. It also functions in Brazil. The negão, as a caricature, is the bloodthirsty, we'll say, rapist, the terror of parents of households, and the social avenger. Okay, so we see the same stereotype in Brazil. This is these are two covers of the films Anjo Negro, meaning Black Angel, and this was A Menina e o Estuprador. Estuprador coming out of the word estupro, which means violating a woman. Okay, so you have these same stereotypes: the big, bad, dark-skinned black man, right? Some people would look at Leo Santana, a very popular singer from Bahia. They would call him. He actually has a song called "So Negão." I'm a negão. All right, let's keep it going. Okay, the negão and the fetishization of interracial sex in Brazil. This is an intriguing article. This is actually an article about black men in Brazil who participated in this stereotype, and they were kind of like, how can we say? You can say they were swingers. They were people who were getting paid for their quote unquote services, right? And they would use the negão stereotype to their advantage to like get more clients. That's a story I'll have to cover one day, the fetishization of the black male body in Brazil. The winner of Big Brother Brasil 24 was Davi Brito, the first black man to win in the reality show's history. Some say no. Okay, so the pictures didn't come out in this particular article, but I have some more. Okay, I'm going to come back to that. With him, everything is about race, and he's married to a white man. This is an article that's talking about a very memorable participant in that particular season of Big Brother Brazil. Fred Nicasio, he was a gay black man, but he was considered the leader of the black participants on that season of Big Brother Brazil. And people were looking at him like, how's he such a militant for the black population, but then he has a white male partner? With everything is about race, and his husband is white. Fred, we could say this guy right here, he's a doctor. He became really well known in Brazil because people, he took a picture with this lady one year, and she had said that she had never been tended to by a black doctor, and she took a picture with him. He became famous for that. Then he ended up on the Big Brother Brazil reality show. So this is him with his partner, and this is what people are saying, like, how are you a militant for the black cause, and you know you're gay and you with a white guy? As I said, there's plenty to talk about if I was to just focus on Big Brother Brazil. 21st season, Brazil's most popular reality show, Big Brother Brazil, will have the largest number of black participants in its history. I see the pictures didn't come out here either. In its 21st season, Brazil's most popular reality show, Big Brother Brazil, will have the largest number of black participants in its history. That was a big story back in 2021. Like looks like half of the cast of Big Brother Brazil was actually made up of black participants. Okay, here's a story. This woman is asking, she was a former participant on Big Brother Brazil, and she's saying, where are the blonde white people? Former Big Brother Brazil participant complains that the new season lacks the quote unquote standard people. So her comments tell you everything you need to know. People are accustomed to seeing people who look closer to the white standard on Big Brother Brazil. So then when they present a reality show like Big Brother Brazil and you see so many black people, now she's complaining like, wow, where are the standard people? And so this is the problem that I have, because when people have that attitude, they don't seem to see it from another person's perspective. Several of the first years of Big Brother Brazil, you had very few black people. And now that they're trying to integrate more black people into the cast, like these pictures here, people are complaining like, where are the standard people? Just the idea that somebody could use the word standard should tell you everything about how she's thinking. 23rd season of Big Brother Brazil, a participant reveals that being on the program, she learned that she was a black woman. That was really funny. What was the name of this lady? It was not her. On the 23rd season of Big Brother Brazil, participant reveals that being on the program, she learned that she was a black woman. I remember that. I just spoke about Fred Nicasio, and he was like the leader of the group of blacks on that show. And he invited this girl into a meeting with all of the black participants. And it was the first time she saw herself as black, because he invited her into that meeting. Like, whoa, I never thought I was black. She learned on that reality show that people saw her as black, or some people would see her as black. Other people would say she's a pardo, a parda, or just someone who's mixed. So again, the discussion of the word negão, is it a term of endearment or is it an insult? Back in 2022, and this is the second incident I want to speak on that I personally, this affected me. I remember where I live here in Michigan, there are a number of Brazilian families, in the Oakland County region that I live in. And I remember going over to this couple's house, and they had a couple of kids. And I remember, the guy had access to all the Brazilian television networks. He had, I think this box that he had in his house was able to give him all access to all the Brazilian TV channels, the paid channels, the cable channels, whatever. And there was a race that was on TV, one of those, stock car races. And he says, well, I told him I'm not really into that. And for some reason, it was around the time where there's a famous Brazilian race car driver. His name was Nelson Piquet, his name here. And he called Lewis Hamilton, the black British champion, called him a neguinho in a video. So it sparked a huge controversy. He was condemned to pay 5 million reais. I think he actually was not found guilty. I think he got out of that. I don't think he ended up paying 5 million, but when this happened, he was sued for that because he referred to Lewis Hamilton as a neguinho, which means the little black guy. Okay. So this is Lewis Hamilton, obviously. This is Nelson Piquet. This is Nelson Piquet here. So this caused quite a controversy. Let me see. Hamilton, he responds to the racist comment of Nelson Piquet, right? So is negão, are these terms racist or are they not? I am not a Brazilian. It's not for me to decide that, but I can make the comparison and say, okay, I see where there's situations where the N word is accepted and there's other situations where it is not, and depends on the situation and it depends on the person who's saying it. It's turning out that it's going to be the same way in Brazil. There's a whole discussion I have on the blackbraziltoday.com blog where they're talking about what is the proper term to refer to black people? Because some black people prefer the term preto, some people prefer negro, some people prefer afrodescendente or African descendant. Here, the famed journalist Gloria Maria, she said she was proud of being called a neguinha. Gloria Maria passed away a couple of years ago. She was one of the first most popular black journalists in the country. She said she's cool with the word neguinha. I don't have a problem with it. Little black woman or whatever. But there's other people. Let me just explain this. And Brazilians often speak of augmentatives and diminutives. Adding the suffix inho or inha to make a word makes it a smaller version of the root word, while adding the suffix ão makes the root word bigger. Also in Portuguese, both the terms preto, preta, negro, negra mean black. Okay. Gloria Maria's reference to the manner in which a term like neguinha is used is similar in the manner in which the terms black and nigga, nigger are used by black and non-black people in the U.S. The terms of usage among African Americans, the term black can signify a person's race or very dark-skinned person. Many African Americans use the term nigga as a term of affection towards African Americans, while nigga, or the same word with the hard er, is usually seen as insulting or racist when said by a non-black person. Similarly, in Brazil, many people accept terms such as neguinho or neguinha, crioulo, crioula, as terms of affection used by any person or race, while others are increasingly seeing the terms as racially pejorative or insulting regardless of the tone or social situation in which it is used. So that's why I wanted to discuss this guy. Look, don't call me negão. I have a name and I have an identity. The white people on this show are not going to be, called by the color of their skin. They're going to be called by their name, as they should be. So this is another example of the changing racial dynamics in Brazil, where people are more and more saying, like, look, we want to be respected as black Brazilians that we are. We don't want to be continued to be treated as second and third class citizens. So anyway, just another view from Brazil. What did you all think about today's discussion? What do you think about? I would love for Brazilians to weigh in. Brazilians who watch this channel, weigh in on the term negão, neguinho, negrinha, neguinho, all of these terms. Because as Americans may not have the cultural background of understanding the differences in these words, I'd like to hear from Brazilians how you feel about these terms, particularly if you're black. What is your feeling about these terms that people use to define black Brazilians? Anyway, let's get the discussion started. Drop a couple comments in the comment section, like this video, share this video, subscribe to the channel, click on that notification bell so you know when I put up another video. With that said, I'm going to end the video here. Request that you all come back. Check out the next video that I post here at Black Brazil Today.